GALAXIAS Chapter 10 is here, and man, it feels good to do consecutive weeks of GALAXIAS again, and I'm hoping the author's health stays good so we can have consistent chapters, because this was a really good one, and we got seemingly the start of what might actually be just the climax of our first real arc in the series, and I'm very hyped to talk about it. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content on the channel and shows you want to see more. Once we get enough actual chapters out, I'll start making discussion videos on GALAXIAS, so look forward to those in the future. I'm hyped to talk more about this series with more chapters coming out. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into things. So chapter 10 of GALAXIAS, titled Neraid vs. Chalk, with the cover image being Neraid and Chalk staring down, with Geo nervously in between them. So yeah, that kind of surmises what would happen if Geo was in this situation. But we cut back from where last chapter left off, with Bronze crashing into the cave where Chalk is, with Neraid on his back, trying to shake him off. He then ends up crashing into the ground, causing a massive explosion, crashing through a bit of the stalactites and the walls of the cave, crashing into the water, as Chalk's wondering what's going on. Bronze is unconscious, as he's wondering what happened to him. What happened? As then Neraid, just hanging casually on a stalagmite, ends up stating, well, that sure was a close one. Things have a way of working out, huh? As this surprises Chalk. And Neraid's like, man, it's cold in here. What is this place? It's totally different from outside. What's going on? I got so absorbed with flying that I kind of lost track of how far we went. I'd better get back soon. As Chalk, without any hesitation really, ends up swinging his tail to try and smash down Neraid from the stalagmite, breaking it. But Neraid manages to avoid it and falls into some mud. It's then that Chalk appears quickly behind him to try and turn him into stone. And as that happens, after hitting the mud quickly turns to stone and freezes in place as it was splashed. And Neraid wondering what happened and how those rocks appeared. Chalk asks Neraid who he is and why did he come here. Neraid says, I'm Neraid. I'm not here to fight. Let me see Schmidt. Chalk says no. They stare at each other for an instant in awkward silence, as Neraid tries to say the exact same thing again, with Chalk saying, don't just ignore me. Honestly, the fact that Neraid is so just not aware of a lot of social cues and how people will just flat out ignore him or say no to him is still kind of funny with how he is right now, and Chalk's gonna get quickly annoyed with Neraid right now. He says he doesn't know where Neraid heard that name, but he has no reason to put in a word for him. Neraid says, look, I just answered that question for you. It's not fair if you don't do the exact same. Obviously, very naive Neraid is, and that's kind of funny that he's stating this. Chalk says, what an odd thing to say. Fairness is just a fiction the weak use to protect each other. The strong have no need of it. This is my kingdom. Good and evil, logic and truth. I have the right to decide it all. I mean, yeah. He took over the town, and now he's basically made this into his own little organization and hideout. No clue fully what he's doing in this cave, but yeah, he's just not having any Neraid shit. And while he's like, I have no idea how you heard the name Schmidt, but I'm not going to give you any answers, but he even says, the strong devour the weak. That's the world's rule. Neraid's like, rule, huh? You sure about that? Right now, you're opposing one of the strong, as I like how Neraid just made a casual gesture stating that he's just gonna take out Chalk, and oh man, that is just hilariously badass. Just being like, look man, you're facing one of the strongest people here, so if strong makes the rules, then I'm making the rules. I like how Neraid just not only just oblivious to some things, but just straight out says what's on his mind, and also fully believes that through everything that's happened, that he is definitely one of the strongest people in the verse right now, and I do not blame him for thinking that. The man took out a dragon knight and that kangaroo woman, and Bronze, who can create explosions incredibly easily, so I would be riding high also. Chalk stops and says today is nothing but bad news, and I like the direction of the paneling where just a singular drop of water is coming off a stalagmite, as before it cuts to the ground, we instantly cut to Chalk creating a stone spear, and is just an inch away from Neraid's eye, as he just barely dodges at the last second, showcasing how quick Chalk really is. And the fact that he was able to create a spear out of stone is so freaking cool. It shows that not only can he make things in the stone, he can conjure and create objects out of stone. That's crazy. Neraid's wondering what's going on. He's not wasting any time at all. Chalk then says this is a special sphere that turns things to stone. Stalactites will grow from the wound and pierce your organs. I don't care who you are or where you're from, but you upset my mood. He then takes a piece of stone in his hand and then instantly generates another spear from it, saying, "So I'll kill you." As he lunges forward to Neraid, as Neraid says, "Okay, thanks for explaining." I won't fall for the same move twice, as he just picks up and just table flips a giant rock, ripping it out from the ground to try and block Chalk's attack. Chalk then hits the giant piece of rubble, but as Neraid's very confident saying that the spear won't break through, the spear then appears from the rock, seemingly almost grazing Neraid, as it's revealed that there's more to his ability. That his ability spreads from the point of contact and affects everything around it in quick succession. To attack the opposite side of a barrier, there's no need for me to physically pierce it. So once he touches something with his ability, it'll turn to stone, and he can then manipulate that stone that he just touched. And in that instance, a bunch of stone spikes appear from out of the ground surrounding Neraid, stating, of course, there's no need to get close, as Neraid is seemingly in a very tough spot, seemingly about to get skewered from all angles. Chalk says, "You can't dodge this at this speed, now die." But in the very next page, Neraid then quickly uses his tail, spins around, and blocks and shatters all of the stone pillars that end up going to try and skewer him, surprising Chalk. Neraid then lunges forward, stating, "No big deal, now that I know the rules." He then slams down into the ground with his fist, creating a giant crater, destroying everything in the area, bringing everything up into the air, as Chalk realizes, "I see. He shattered the ground to interrupt the spread of my ability. Such absurd power." As Neraid says, "I didn't come here to fight. So let's get this over." With a cocky smile on his face and seemingly a bit of a smirk on Chalk's. Maybe he's getting excited for a real fight. As the rumbling continues, as some of the workers are wondering what's going on, with Schmidt hiding in the shadows. Ending the chapter. So yeah, really hyped fight has just started. I was curious to see how far we were going to get into this before the actual fight began, but I like the little interaction between Chalk and Neraid and how we ended up getting this actual really cool fight. Raw strength and power versus someone that creates and manipulates and alter stone on the point of contact, which is crazy to me. And I will continuously praise this series no matter what, because the fight choreography and the way the paneling is done in this chapter, and with all the fights so far, and the flow of it, has just been so fun to read that I just cannot wait for next. And I'm excited to see how this fight's going to conclude and how it's to go on, because with how Neraid is quickly seemingly countering Chalk's ability, at least to an extent, I'm curious to see how this fight's going to play out, and if Neraid will end up falling victim to being turned to stone by Chalk at some way. He just has to make sure he doesn't get touched by him. But yeah, really crazy chapter. I wonder what Schmidt's going to do, if he's just going to stay on the sidelines, or if he's going to try and fool Neraid to try and get him to lose or something like that. I got no clue, but either way, I'm so hyped to find out. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on this chapter in the comment section down below. How do you think the fight's going to turn out? How do you think Schmidt's going to affect this fight? And whether or not Geo and maybe the rest of the townsfolk will show up to see what's going on in the midst of this fight. So let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.